Overcoming bad inner voices. We don't often think about it, and many never discuss it with others at all, but pretty much everyone has voices in their head, a murmuring stream of thoughts that run along inside our minds most of the time, our ego. Sometimes the inner voice is encouraging, calling for you to run those final few yards. You're nearly there. Keep going, keep going. Or urging you to calm down because you know it all will be okay in the end. But sometimes the inner voice is simply not very nice at all. It's defeatist, it's punitive, panic-ridden, and humiliating. It doesn't represent anything like our best insights or most mature capacities. It's not the voice of our better nature. We find ourselves saying, "You disgust me. Things always go to shit with you." Or, "You useless little idiot." Where do these inner voices come from? An inner voice always used to be an outer voice. We absorb the tone of others, a harassed or angry parent, the menacing threats of an elder sibling keen to put us down, the words of a schoolyard bully or a teacher who seemed impossible to please, or coach empowering you to do the next play. We internalize these unhelpful voices because at certain key moments in the past, they sounded compelling. The authority figures repeated their messages over and over until they got lodged in our own way of thinking. Part of achieving happiness and maturity involves altering our inner voices, which means encountering equally convincing and confident, but also helpful and constructive varieties and perspectives of voices over long periods, and taking care to internalize them. They might be the voices of a friend, a therapist, or an author, or AA meeting. We need to hear them often enough and around tricky enough issues that they come to feel normal and natural responses, so that eventually they come to feel like things we are saying to ourselves. They become our own thoughts. The best sort of inner voice speaks to us in a gentle, kind, and unhurried way. It should feel as if some sympathetic arm were being put around our shoulder by someone who had lived a long and seen a great many sad but great things, but wasn't embittered or panicked by them. In certain states of humiliation around work, in many of us, there is a mocking and contemptuous voice inside one's head. That self-talk, it suggests that love, respect, and kindness only ever come via worldly success and competence. Our failure? Not being able to make a public speech, taking time to learn to drive a car, not being especially brilliant at sales, not wanting to get in front of the camera to show love and appreciation. We need to separate that voice and achievement of love that reminds us that we may be worthy of affection, even if we fail, and that being a winner is only one part and not necessarily the most important part as one's identity. This is traditionally the voice of a mother, but it might also be the voice of a spouse or a poet or entrepreneur coach, a 9-year-old child chatting to his mom and dad about stress at the office. It's the voice of a person who loves you for being you outside of achievement. Many of us grew up around nervous people who lost their tempers the moment the parking ticket couldn't be found, and who were knocked off course by relatively minor administrative hurdles like the electricity bill, for example. These people had no faith in themselves, and therefore, without necessarily wanting to do us harm, couldn't have much faith in our abilities either. Every time we faced an exam at school, they got more alarmed than we did. They always asked multiple times if we had enough to wear when we went outside. They worried about our friends, our teachers, who's coaching us. They were sure the holiday was going to turn into a disaster. Your mother's voice, now these voices have now become your own, a cloud our capacity to take an accurate measurement of what we are capable of. We've internalized these voices of irrational fear and fragility. At such moments, we need an alternative voice that can pause our runaway fears and remind us of the strength we have latent within us, which the currents of panic have hidden us from. Our heads are large cavernous spaces, these places that contain all these voices of all the people we've known all of our life in our heads. We have to learn to mute the unhelpful ones and focus on the voices we really need to guide us through the thickets of life. God's voice. We humbly offer this voice as one of the more helpful ones we might take on board. So from a young age, we're taught it's a terrible thing to not be perfect. So when we feel it, as we all do, we're inclined not to examine it. We just feel it. But the key is sometimes you have to laugh. Sometimes you have to smile. It's amazing what a smile can do within your day. So you can inspire an athlete, a solopreneur, the next entrepreneur who overcame addiction and transformed their passion into profit. You see, in the world of sports, where physicality is king and achievement is paramount, athletes face enormous pressures. Welcome to the entrepreneur's world. So the same inner voices that tell them they're not good enough, for some athletes, especially those struggling with addiction, this voice becomes overwhelmingly negative. That's where Being the Change LLC comes into play. Just like a dedicated coach on the sidelines or on the field or on the court, our software, our partnerships empowers alcoholics, athletes, action takers to transform their passion into profit. They can redefine their identity, not by their past mistakes, but by their current endeavors and future aspirations. Our platform offers tools not just for business, but for personal growth and development. Each tool designed to counter that negative inner voice, reminding athletes, entrepreneurs of their potential and their worth. Because at the end of the day, our inner voice doesn't have to define us. We have the power to choose which voices we listen to. The journey to change may not be easy, but with the right support and tools, every athlete, every entrepreneur, every dream seeker, action taker can rise above challenges and be the change they wish to see in the world. Change isn't just about becoming someone new. It's about rediscovering who you were all along the journey. Believe in yourself, be the change, and let your passion lead the way. You're going to integrate the challenges of overcoming negative inner voices, particularly as an athlete, as an entrepreneur, but you have resources as entrepreneurs partners with Being the Change LLC and services that we provide for our entrepreneurs, our athletes, our action takers that are empowering to counteract that negativity, rediscovering their worth, and harnessing their passion for both personal and financial growth. Adrienne Mays, AI Wealth Creation Strategist and Entrepreneur Coach. Own it. Design your reality. Emphasize the informative, the transformation in yourself, the self-belief, the rediscovery, because being the change, because we care with the caring commerce climb, we can't do it alone. It starts with that billionaire mindset, and it starts with you. I can, I will, I must. Let's go. Deuces.